My name is Ari. I identify as queer and I prefer she, her pronouns.
My name's Cody Dolan. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I identify as transmasculine.
People within the LGBTQ community they have this sort of expectation where it's like you're either gay, lesbian, bisexual, and that's about it. Like everybody else that falls within the umbrella term of queer, like that's just too much. Like you need to pick one or the other or both. And even within that, like lesbian and gay people don't even believe that bisexuals exist, and that in itself is like, how can you say that when you experience oppression because you like someone of the same sex? Like why can't this person like both?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of discrimination. I think that whenever you have a group of people, there's going to be a people that want to be on top, even if they are all different from like societal norms. So in the LGBT case, it's going to be like the gay white man that's always going to be on top.
And then even also like in the Castro, it's predominantly white gay men. So if you're a lesbian or a trans individual, you're not really seeing any sort of exposure, because as much as people assume like, oh, the Castro is like where everyone goes, it's like really just gay white men and older white men as well. So there's not very many young people, trans people, people of color, lesbians.
I think it's okay to have their own separate spaces outside of that, because again, if you're a trans woman and you want to be in a lesbian only space, you're gonna find a lot of discrimination in that, rather than just being in a trans-friendly lesbian space where everyone there is accepting and you know that you're going to be accepted and no one's going to discriminate against you.
It's important to have safe spaces for minorities within the queer community, just as it's important to have safe spaces for minorities in any community, because they experience things that the majority doesn't experience. Being a woman, you would experience sexism, or like being a person of color, you would experience racism, and then being a queer person, you would usually experience homophobia. And then so if you are a female person of color who's queer, you're experiencing 3 different types of oppression, intersectionality.
Safe spaces to me, or like where I go to feel safe, is I surround myself with people more than a specific area. So instead of, there are support groups, I know there's a lot like in the Castro. There's a clinic in the Castro specifically for trans youth, but outside of youth, there's not a lot of like specific general spaces where you can go, like support groups, like talking circles, like those are mainly geared towards youth. In a society where we like to label people, those labels create norms, and anyone outside of those, they're just gonna, intentional or not, they're gonna be discriminated against.